Ready for me? Okay. Greetings to the voters of Fairfield. Before we begin, I want to make sure that all non-residents are sitting in the rear section. If you are a resident and you would like to vote, please sit in the voting section here in the front of the ropes. If you have not already checked in, please do so with our registrar over here. If you would like to make a comment on any one of the articles we are taking up, please raise your hand or stand so the moderator, once sworn in, can call on you to speak. Because this meeting is broadcast on the Crossroads TV cable television station, you'll be asked to speak into the microphone over here in this corner of the room. State your name, your street, and your organization if applicable. And our Crossroad TV station director has asked us, please don't touch the microphone or make adjustments to it. There's an X on the floor to stand. It's very sensitive equipment. It's going to pick your voice up just fine. And that's another great segue into phones need to be off or on silent, but if you go to the microphone, you can't actually have a phone that's on because it does interfere with all our microphones. So everybody's phones need to be off if they're near a microphone. And at this time, for all those that are able, if you would please rise, we're going to pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before the business portion of our meeting commences, I would bring to your attention that the budget meetings are held in January, February, March. They're open to the public, and they are preceding the annual town budget meeting. There's also a public hearing on the draft warrant, and that's an opportunity for the public to speak and ask in-depth questions regarding the budget process. This was held on April the 13th, and 3 attendees participated and spoke. At this time, there's going to be presentations of recognition. John? Shelley? If you could go to the center.
There's no way to walk now.
There's no way there. Just go through that.
Is there anybody here from Jeff Marshall's family? Come right up. Sure. Okay, we would like to make this presentation of dedication of the town of Fairfield's annual report to Jeff, who was a spectacular person, a very good friend, and who did so much for the community and for the kids of this community.
Thank you for coming. This is a legislative sentiment for Jeff. It's presented by myself and Senator Searway put in the sentiment for Jeff. Is it okay if I go ahead and read the sentiment? Whereas the legislature has learned with deep regret of the death of Jeff Marshall of Fairfield. Mr. Marshall devoted almost 46 years working for the Wendy's brand, starting his career with Wendy's in Waterville as an assistant manager in 1976 and working his way up through the ranks. Most recently, he worked as Director of Operations for the Legacy Capital Partners franchise, previously owned by Restwind LLC. Very active in softball. He was a player, an umpire, and a member of the Greater Waterville Softball Empires Association. For many years, he was a district commissioner for the USA Softball of Maine, and he started the Men's Fall League with Waterville Parks and Rec. In 1990, he served as a coach, helping to establish a program within the Lawrence community through the PAL program, and he served as a softball tournament director and umpire. He also served as a member of the School Administration District 49 School Board from 1996 to 2004, and as a member of the Town of Fairfield Budget Committee and Planning Board. The Town of Fairfield dedicated the 2021 Town Report in his memory in recognition of his long service to the community. Mr. Marshall will be long remembered and sadly missed by his wife of almost 45 years, Sandra, and his family and friends, and all those whose lives he touched. Therefore, be it resolved that we, the members of the Senate and the House of Representatives, pause in a moment of understanding and prayer to inscribe this token of sympathy and condolence to all those who share the great loss. Respectfully request that when the legislature adjourns this date, it do so in honor of lasting tribute to the deceased. And this was actually signed on April 6, 2022, in the legislature. And it was signed by Troy Jackson, President of the Senate, Ryan Fecteau, Speaker of the House, Derek Grant, Secretary of the Senate, and Robert Hunt, Clerk of the House. And it was sponsored by Senator Scott Searway and co-sponsored by Representative Shelley Rudnicki. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And for folks in the audience, that information is on page 2. Our honorees are on pages 2 and 3 this evening.
Okay. Next up is Mr. Tom Munson, please. Mr. Munson, how are you? Okay, I would like to take this opportunity to recognize you of achievement of the 2022 Spirit of America Award. Be it proclaimed by the Town Council of Fairfield, Maine, a resolution in recognition of Thomas Munson, recipient of Spirit of America Award. Sorry.
I'd also like to take this opportunity to congratulate you and read the sentiment from the legislature. Be it known to all those, we, the members of the Senate and the House of Representatives, join in recognizing Thomas Munson of Fairfield, recipient of the Spirit of America Foundation Award. The Spirit of America Foundation was established to encourage and promote volunteerism, and the foundation presents awards to honor local individuals, organizations, and projects in appreciation of community service. We extend our congratulations and best wishes, and be it ordered that the official expression of sentiment be sent forthwith on behalf of the 130th Legislature and the people of the state of Maine. This was dated April 6, 2022, signed by Senate President Troy Jackson, Ryan Fecteau, Speaker of the House, Derek Grant, Secretary of the Senate, and Clerk of the House, Robert Hunt, sponsored by Senator Searway of Kennebec County and co-sponsored by Representative Rudnicki of Fairfield.
Many thanks.
Our Boston Post cane recipient continues to be Gladys Benner, and she's still our current cane holder. And she had the distinction of achieving her 100th birthday this past February, so the council recognized her with a centenarian certificate as well. At this time, I would like to introduce the town manager. She's going to provide you folks with the fiscal update and budget overview for the 2022-2023 budget. The spreadsheets are on page 70 through 84 of your town report. If you haven't picked one up, there's some here and some out in the hallway. And Michelle, Town Manager.
I'm not going to touch the microphone, Chad. All right, so welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us this evening for our 22-23 annual town meeting. It has been since 2019 since we've all been here in person together to work on a town budget, so thank you all very much for joining us this evening. I would like to definitely thank our department heads, as well as the town council and our budget committee members for the great work that they've done working through this draft. So as the town clerk did just state, that the budget spreadsheets are located on page 70 of your town report. The warrant articles that we will be voting on this evening are located starting on page 65. Every one of those articles most every one of those articles has a corresponding budget spreadsheet that does go with it. Please remember that we don't line item appropriate. We use those lines to get us to a point where we have an estimated budget that we can put forth. The majority of our budget this year was unanimously approved by the town council and the budget committee. There are just a few instances in which they did not agree. In the case that there was a disagreement between the budget committee's recommendation and the town council's recommendation, the higher number is put in the warrant article. Simply remember that warrant article numbers can be decreased. They cannot be increased when they are printed within the article. So that's why we use the highest number and allow you folks the opportunity to decide which way you want to go. The differences are in 4 articles. They are highlighted in gray in the budget total sheet, which that's the first sheet on page 70. They include Article 5, which is the library, Article 18, which is PAL, Article 26, which is going to be Spectrum Generations, and Article 27, which is the Victor Grange. And when you get to the individual spreadsheets for each of those corresponding articles, the differences in there will be highlighted in gray as well. So you'll easily be able to see where things don't match up in that warrant article. If all the articles pass exactly as written, which means all the high amounts go through, the budget will be $124,494.50 less than last year. This is a 5.25% reduction from last year's budget. And as things go at this point, it's looking pretty good. While our county budget is actually up, Fairfield's portion is up 7%, it looks as though the school budget right now is being put forward is going to be down. And so we believe with the marginal increase in the county, the overall budget, so for all 3 categories this year, will actually be less than last year. Fingers crossed, that's what we're hoping for. Don't forget, though, the school board is meeting on March 16th to discuss their budget, and we encourage you to attend that. And just for the record, in case anybody has any questions, because I do know the question has been asked several times over the course of the last few days, this meeting tonight is specific to just the annual operating budget. There will be no PFAS discussion this evening. There is nothing about PFAS within our budget. There is nothing about the drinking water expansion in this budget. That all is on the June election referendum. Those ballots have been posted. Those absentee ballots will be available on May 16th. So if you can't make the meeting in June, please be sure to request your absentee ballot. And we will have conversations regarding that June election once tonight is over and we move forward. So, but just to clear that up, so because I know a lot of people had some concerns that would be discussing PFAS this evening and people are going to be missing it. That is not the case. We are limited specifically to what is on the warrant, which is the operating budget. So thank you everyone for being here again, and we appreciate you, and we're going to get this back over to the town clerk so we can get this started. Thank you.
So I hereby call this meeting to order. And if you could all please turn to page 65 of your annual town report. And we are going to act now on Article 1 to choose a moderator. And do I have a motion to nominate a moderator?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Peter Mills as our nominator this evening.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Are there any other nominations? I sense you're ready to vote. All those in favor of Peter Mills, please raise your hand. Any opposed? The motion carries. Peter, if you would come get sworn in?
Sure.
All right. Do you swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and this state so long as you continue a citizen thereof, and that you will faithfully discharge to the best of your abilities duties incumbent upon you as moderator according to the Constitution and laws of the state, so help you God?
I do.
All right. If you would sign here,
Thank you.
either one, either pen. You do have the main moderator's manual over here behind you, and just let me know if you need it for any kind of reference. And I will take that, and, whoops, there we go, and that out of your way. And this is in the event that we have any write-ins.
Excellent. All right, we're down now to Article 2. I'm going to stand back from the mic. I think it doesn't echo as much if I stand back. Not sure, but let me know. Article 2 is to see if the town will allow non-residents who have information pertaining to Article 2 through Article 31 to speak. Do I have a motion on Article 2? And seconded? Is it seconded? Yes, sir, it is. And any discussion, questions, or comments on Article 2? Seeing none, all in favor of Article 2, raise your right hand. Any opposed, raise your hands. It passes. We're down now to Article 3 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $995,885 for the salaries and operations of general government. It is recommended by both the council and the budget committee of the department to adopt that figure, broken down as $772,030 for admin, $178,907 for insurance, $10,000 for general assistance, $14,948 for elections, $20,000 for legal services, all coming to the total number $995,885. Do we have a motion on Article 3, please? Do I have a motion in favor of Article 3? And a second, please? All right. Any discussion or comments or questions concerning Article 3? If you do, just raise your hands whenever I call for it. All right. All in favor of Article 3, raise your hands. All opposed to Article 3? One. All right. Article 3 carries. We're now down to Article 4 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $234,739 for municipal debt. It is recommended at that number by the review committees. Funds cover 7 bonds, which are enumerated in the explanatory box. Do I have a motion on Article 4? Seconded. All right. Any questions, concerns, or comments on Article 4? Yes, sir.
Microphone.
Please make sure you go to the microphone.
If you don't mind, go to the mic, because there's all kinds of public that want to hear you.
I'm George Hofgren from Nice Corner Drive. I didn't come in intending to ask about this, but I think we also have a reserve fund, and I'm just wondering, these bonds, not to bring up the PFAS issue, and that is not what I'm attempting to do, but what kind of time horizon is there on these bonds at $240,000 a year? Is that something that, or any of them can be paid off out of the reserve fund, or has there been discussion about removing any of those?
So the question pertains to the structure of the bonds that are identified here? Is that right?
Yeah, in terms of long-term financial planning with the potential of a new bond for PFAS.
Does anyone on the panel understand the question?
I do understand the question. So no, we cannot use reserve funds to pay off these bonds. These bonds were voted on specifically and individually. So whenever there was a town meeting, whenever something was bonded like this, in this instance, there would have been a town meeting vote for that. Mm-hmm. So just so you're aware, this includes 5 sewer bonds. Mm-hmm. They expire anywhere between 2024 to 2030. This budget process right here only pays 50% of those sewer bonds. The remainder is paid for through the sewer enterprise fund. It also includes the infrastructure bond that did all of the paving quite a few years ago. That expires in 2032. And then there's also a fire truck pumper that expires in 2027, which is actually, that one right there is actually paid for. It is basically like a car loan, and we do use the fire department's reserve account to pay for that. But the remainder of these are set up so that they are paid for through taxation. Okay. But we have quite a few that are going to be expiring soon.
That's just what I was wondering. Thanks.
You're welcome. And that detail also is actually listed in the spreadsheet in the town report, right at the very bottom.
Any other questions, concerns about Article 4? All in favor of Article 4, raise your hands. Any opposed to Article 4, raise. Seeing none, the article passes. We're down to Article 5 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $217,784 for the salaries and operations of the Lawrence Public Library. Department and the town council recommend $217,284, which is $500 less than what the budget committee recommends, which is $217,784, the amount that is printed in the article. May I have a motion on Article 5, please? Say again, please. Okay, and the amount, everybody understand that? Okay, is that motion for the Budget Committee's recommendation, is that motion seconded? It is seconded. Now, do you have questions or concerns about Article 5? If none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor of Article 5 as read, raise your hands. Any opposed to Article 5? Opposed, 1 or 2? But Article 5 carries. We're down to 6. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $35,618 the operation and maintenance of the Fairfield Community Center. The committees recommend the amount that's in the article, $35,618. Some would come from taxation and some would come from estimated revenues. Do I have a motion on Article 6? And a second. I need a second. And it's seconded. Questions on Article 6 or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of 6, raise your hands. Any opposed to 6? It carries. We're down to 7. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,442,375 for the salaries and operations of the police department, and that figure is recommended by the committees. May I have a motion on Article 7? It's moved and seconded. It's on the floor. Any questions or concerns about Article 7? Yes, sir.
Microphone, please.
I'm sorry to waylay everyone with my personal questions. I'm not on the Budget Committee. I think I recall 2 budget meetings ago, so that would have been about 4 years ago. We had just gone over $1 million. I just remember that because it's a clear number for the police budget. Now we're at 1.5, which is 50% more. So I'm just wondering do we have 50% more officers, or unless I'm wrong with that, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that we were at $1 million some 5 years ago. Yeah, the chief can speak to that.
I believe we have a response from the chief. Go ahead.
So basically, it's health insurance and wages. We're trying to get caught up with the wages of other departments. Our officers right now, an officer with 20 years of experience right now is paid about $3 an hour less than a Clinton officer who that has 5 years of experience. We're trying to maintain the staff that we have now, and it's extremely expensive It's an extremely expensive jump this year. So basically, that's where the increases are coming from, the wage lines, the benefit lines. We have to have employees on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If somebody calls in sick, we can't just not fill that shift. We have to fill it with overtime. Does that answer the question?
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Just for the record, it was in 2018, 2019 that went just over $1 million. Yep.
Correct.
So, and then it continues and it increases every year. And like most of our budgets, the increase is usually due to salary increases as well as benefits, but then also utilities. And we experience, changes in everything from utilities, just like everybody else, so.
Any other questions, comments? All in favor of Article 7, raise your hands. Any opposed to Article 7, raise your hands. Unopposed. Article 7 carries. We're down to 8 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,115,836 for the salaries and operations of the fire department. The committees recommend the amount read. May I have a motion on Article 8? And a second. Second? We have it. Comments or questions concerning Article 8? Seeing none, all in favor of Article 8, raise your hands. Any opposed to Article 8? 8 passes. We're down to 9. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $236,546 for the cost of operations and maintenance of fire hydrants and street lighting. The committees recommend that number. May I have a motion on Article 9? It's moved and seconded. Questions concerning 9 or comments? Seeing none, are you in favor of Article 9? Raise your hands. Those opposed, raise. Article 9 passes. We're down to 10 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,284,999 for salaries and operations of public works and cemeteries and park departments. This is recommended by the committees, and I'll have a motion on 10, please. And seconded. Questions concerning 10 or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of 10, raise your hands. Those opposed, raise. Article 10 carries. We're down to 11 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $450,000 for road, street, sidewalk paving, and to carry forward any unexpended account balance to the next fiscal year. May I have a motion on Article 11? Second? Questions or concerns about 11? Seeing none, are you in favor of Article 11? Raise your hands. If you're opposed, raise your hands. Article 11 carries. We're down to 12 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $9,000 for solid waste disposal. It's recommended by the committees. May I have a motion on 12? And a second? Questions concerning 12 or comments? Seeing none, are you in favor of 12? Raise your hands. If you're opposed, raise. Article 12 carries. With 13 now to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $20,000 for spring cleanup, a number that's recommended by the committees. May I have a motion on 13? It's moved as read and seconded. Questions or concerns about 13? Seeing none, are you in favor of 13? Raise your hands. If you're opposed, raise your hands. 2 opposed. 13 carries. We're down to 14 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $13,200 for recycling, as recommended by the committees. May I have a motion on 14? It's moved and seconded. Seconded. Questions or concerns about 14? Seeing none, are you in favor of 14? Raise your hands. Any opposed? Raise your hands. 14 carries. We're at 15. Special appropriation. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $285,000 for capital improvement, equipment, and other reserve accounts as recommended by the committees. Motion, please, on 15. And, I'm sorry. All right, it's moved and seconded at 285, thank you. And any questions or concerns about 15? Seeing none, if you're in favor, raise your hands on 15. If you're opposed, raise your hands. 2 opposed, but 15 carries. We're at 16. See if the town vote to raise and appropriate $7,000 for community events. And it's moved and seconded. Is it seconded? It is. Any questions or concerns about 16? Seeing none, are you in favor of 16, raise your hands. If you're opposed, raise your hands. 16 carries. We're at 17. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,500 to honor soldiers and sailors with graveside flags on Memorial Day, as recommended by the committees. It's moved. Seconded. Questions? Concerns? All in favor of 17, raise your hands. Any opposed? 17 carries. We're down to 18. I'm down to a short drink. Thank you. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $35,582 for Fairfield Police Athletic League. The town council recommends that number. The budget committee recommends a number that is $10,000 lower. May I have a motion on Article? Wait a minute, I'll recognize somebody here in a minute. The guy in the blue vest, I think.
Move the town council's recommendation.
And that, all right, that's what's in. Okay, just for everybody's clarity, as I read it, you have moved the town council recommendation, which is the higher number as it was read.
That is correct.
Okay, just everybody, so everybody's clear. All right. Anybody want to talk about this? Go ahead.
Evening, my name is Pete Lawrence, and I'm from 258 Ridge Road. Why the budget committee recommended that amount, $10,000 less? They bought a brand new equipment. They monitor. They actually take care of the pal field. They bought a $29,000 mower. My question is, since this is town property, are they renting it? And why is the town maintaining it?
All right, anybody care to answer that question? Or address it? Yes, sir, go ahead.
My name is Bruce Roderick. I'm a resident of Military Avenue and the president of PAL. Some years ago, when this organization was founded, the town would also fund an amount of $25,000 to allow us to keep up our facilities. This continued for many years. I can't remember the exact year, but a promise was made. In exchange for the money, the town would maintain the fields for us, and for the most part, that's worked out okay. What hasn't worked out okay is that we're now in a position where we're spending more money on the maintenance of the fields because the town is doing everything it can. And please don't take my comments demeaning what the town's doing, because they're doing a fantastic job. But there's things that are out of their purview that we need to hire out. Things that require chemical applications, things that require maintenance of the baseball fields that have to be done by a professional organization that were formerly being done by one individual who was accustomed to doing kind of all of that stuff. So this isn't to condemn the town for what they're doing. And please understand that, because I think we've had a really good relationship with the Public Works Department, and they've done an outstanding job for us in the things that they can do. However, because there are things that they cannot, our budget and our accountant clearly calls this out. It is costing us more money every year to maintain the fields. So, and especially in the pandemic, it cost the organization a lot more money. So we're not debating that the town is spending money on a lawnmower that will actually help our facilities. It'll also help the cemeteries and the park and others. And the cost, or even part of the cost of that, should not be borne by the Police Athletic League, considering every year, like Michelle mentioned, costs continue to go up for everything. And that includes costs for us too. The number one thing being field maintenance that are beyond the scope of what the town can handle or is even licensed to do. So that's the reason for this.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Frank Bouchard, live on 69 High Street in Fairfield, Maine, and I'm the treasurer for PAL. Now, last year, we spent on the fields, Fairfield maintenance. Remember now, we're receiving $35,000, and we spent last year on the PAL fields just for Fairfield, because we also do work for, this is a partnership, PAL's a partnership with 4 communities involved. There's Albion, there's Benton, there's Clinton, and then there's Fairfield. The majority of the games that we play are at the Fairfield facility. That was property and land that was donated by Doug Cutchin, and the town, with a bond, made that property what it is today. So last year we spent $27,605.01 on the Fairfield fields. That's what we spent. We got $35,000 from the town of Fairfield, but we spent $27,605. The year before, we spent $33,000, $33,563.51. So the money that the town of Fairfield gives us, I mean, it's not used just for the maintenance, obviously, but with the children that we have, we buy supplies. I mean, just one of our numbers is the insurance that we have to pay, which everybody understands that. Certainly the town of Fairfield does. And we spent $10,622.56 on liability insurance. So these costs, it's been a wonderful partnership. You know, I'm a PAL kid. You know, I think most of the people here that are Fairfield residents that grew up, they're Fairfield PAL kids too. And, you know, I remember going to the pool. And so we thank you for your time, and we appreciate the effort that you've given us. And thank you, Town Council, for approving our requested budget request. Thank you very much.
Any other citizens wish to be recognized on this Article 18? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Actually, I had a question for Mr. Bouchard. I was just wondering, I'm also a supporter of PAL, and it sounds like the lion's share of the PAL budget has been paid for by Fairfield. Is that right? Okay. I thought I heard like 23 out of $25,000. No.
Okay. The questions need to be addressed to me, and then I'll
Right.
recognize him if I want to have
Okay.
him answer. But is your question, I don't understand.
Yeah, my
Sure,
question.
I heard your question. What is your question?
My question is what percentage is Fairfield paying for the fields relative to the larger school district that's using those fields?
All right.
I'm just
Do you have
wondering.
any other questions?
That's it.
All right, then I believe the treasurer would like to answer you.
When we look at all the income that we received last year, this would be from membership dues, that the children typically pay $35 to participate in a sport, whether it's football or basketball, soccer, et cetera. Our total income this past year, and this includes gifts as well, and fundraisers that we do, and because we've been impacted by the COVID tragedy that we've had to all live through. We weren't able to do a basketball tournament, which is our number one fundraiser that we do during the year. We typically make around between $10,000 and $12,000 from the basketball tournaments. We haven't been able to do that the last 2 years. We haven't been able to use the schools. So the total income that we have this past year was $147,000. So we get $35,000, $35,582 from the town of Fairfield. So you can see it's roughly about a quarter of our total budget. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Any other people that want to be recognized on this issue? We're up to Article 18. All in favor of 18 as read, raise your hands. Those opposed to 18 as read, several, but the article carries. We're at 19. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,000 for the Alphon Youth Center as recommended by the committees. A motion, please, on 19. And a second. Questions, concerns about 19? Seeing none, all in favor of 19? Any opposed to 19, raise your hands. 19 carries. We're at 20 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $3,000 for the Fairfield Historical Society as recommended by the committees. Motion, please, on 20. Seconded, please. Any questions or concerns about Article 20? Seeing none, all in favor of 20, raise your hands. Any opposed to 20? 20 carries. We're at 21. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $2,500 for KV CAP Child and Family Services as recommended by the committees. Motion, please, on 21. Moved and seconded. Questions or concerns about 21? Seeing none, all in favor of 21, raise your hands. Any opposed to 21? It carries. We're at 22 now to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $3,000 for KV CAP Transportation as recommended by the committees. Motion, please, on 22. And seconded? Seconded. Any concerns or questions about 22? Seeing none, all in favor of 22, raise your hands. Any opposed? 22 carries. We're at 23. See if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $8,500 for Fairfield Interfaith Food Pantry as recommended by the committees. Motion, please, on 23. I'm sorry. All right, and seconded? All right. Any questions or concerns about it? All in favor of 23, raise your hands. Any opposed to 23? It carries. We're 24 now to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $3,000 from Mid-Maine Homeless Shelter as recommended by the committees. Give me a motion on 24, please. That's moved and seconded. Concerns or questions about 24? Seeing none, all in favor of 24, raise your hands. Any opposed, raise. 24 carries. We're at 25 to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $1,500 for Hospice of Waterville as recommended by the committees. And I have a motion, please, on 25. Seconded. Questions, concerns about 25? Seeing none, raise your hands if you're in favor. Raise if you're opposed. You're in favor, so it carries. 25 carries. Number 26 is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $5,000 for Spectrum Generations as recommended by the town council. The budget committee recommends a slightly lower figure. May I have a motion on 26? I'm sorry, what is your motion, sir?
Make a motion, we stop the budget committee's recommendation for 41.
You're moving in the article at 4,173. Is that motion seconded? And it's seconded. Questions or concerns about Article 26?
Yes, I have a concern. Mark Cooper, 21 Cottage Street, Fairfield. In your packet or your booklet, page 43, Spectrum Generations does significant amount of assistance to our seniors and disabled. The line item of 8,219 meals alone, I feel myself that the $5,000 that the town council recommends would be an excellent thing to do.
All right, the motion on the floor right now is simply to accept the lower number. If you don't want that number, we need to vote the article down as it's been moved.
My name is Pete Lawrence. Why did the Budget Committee make that recommendation? Because Spectrum Generation has an element out there that is for money. Spectrum Generation is supposed to be non-profit. They are for profit. They have businesses out there actually drawing money in. So that's why the recommendation is 4173, because they can draw money off the other elements to pay for that new things they're having, that DEP program. They can have the new, to draw off that. That's why the recommendation.
All right, any other questions or comments or concerns about Article 26 as it's been read and moved? All right, if you're in favor of Article 26, at the number of 4,173, raise your hands. All right, those opposed at that level, the opponents carry it, and do I have another motion on Article 26? That is seconded. Do we have questions or concerns about the motion at the number of 5,000? If not, all in favor of Article 26 at $5,000, raise your hands. Those opposed to Article 26, several. However, Article 26 passes at the number recommended by the council, $5,000. 27 is to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate $4,000 for the Fairfield Victor Grange. The town council recommends 3. Budget committee recommends the 4. We have a motion and seconded at the higher number as read. Any other questions or concerns about Article 27? If you're in favor of 27 at the number of $4,000, raise your hands. Any opposed to 27? Seeing none, 27 carries. We're down to 28 to see if the town will vote to appropriate the full balance of snowmobile registration fees reimbursed to the town of Fairfield by the state of Maine to the Fairfield Country Riders Snowmobile Club for the maintenance of the network of snowmobile trails within the town of Fairfield on condition that those trails are kept open to the public for outdoor winter recreation purposes at no charge. And this is recommended by the committees. Article 28, a motion, please. Moved and seconded. Questions, concerns about 28? All in favor of 28, raise your hands. Any opposed to 28? 28 carries. We're down to 29. See if the town will vote to accept and expend the sum of $1,918,284 from estimated revenues to reduce the amount to be raised by taxation, and this is recommended by the committees. May I have a motion, please, on 29 and seconded? Questions, concerns about 29? Seeing none, are you in favor of 29? Raise your hands. Any opposed to 29? 29 carries. We're now at 30 to see if the town will vote to accept and expend the categories of funds listed below in the article as provided by the Maine State Legislature. Estimated revenues as follows: municipal revenue sharing, $1 million; local road assistance program, $75,000; homestead reimbursement, $600,000; snowmobile registration refund, $2,000; general assistance reimbursement, $5,000; veterans exemption reimbursement, $7,000; tree growth reimbursement, $40,000; other local, state, or federal funds or grants unknown; civil emergency funds unknown. And there is a note here reminding us that the actual Amounts received may be more or less than stated above, but the motion is to accept and expend the funds regardless of the amount. Moved and seconded. All right. Any questions or concerns about Article 30? Seeing none, all in favor of 30, raise your hands. Any opposed to 30? It passes. $31. To see if the town will vote to authorize the town council to apply up to the sum of $400,000 from the undesignated fund balance to reduce the amount to be raised by taxation. And this is recommended by the committees. May I have a motion on 31? It's moved and seconded. Concerns or questions about 31? Seeing none, all in favor of 31, raise your hands. Any opposed, raise your hands. 31 carries. By my calculation, we are in order for adjournment.
7:53.
Should we adjourn by acclamation? Let's do it. All right. Thank you very much. It was a very good meeting. Very well over.
Thank you.